There are moments in history when humanity seems to reach the very limits of its strength, yet it is in those very moments that miracles are born. In the year 1177, Saladin's mighty empire surged into the lands of the Crusaders. 26,000 warriors, horsemen, and mounted archers stretched across the horizon like a living storm. Their power shook the very earth, and Jerusalem stood on the brink of an unprecedented danger. And standing against that storm were only a little more than 500 knights, led by a king who was not only young, but had suffered from leprosy since the age of 13. His name was Baldwin IV, the man history remembers as the Leper King. But on that day, no one saw a sick man in him. They saw a king, a commander of unshakable courage, a leader bold enough to face an army 100 times greater than his own. The advance of Saladin. Saladin believed that Jerusalem had grown weak. A sickly young king, he thought, could never command an army. So he led his great host across the border, a living torrent of soldiers, weapons, and war horses stretching all the way to the horizon. And indeed, Ascalon fell. Ramla descended into chaos. Civilians fled in fear, and Baldwin's commanders begged him to retreat and fortify the city. But Baldwin answered with just one sentence: "If I flee, Jerusalem will die." In that moment, every commander suddenly awakened. Before them was a 16-year-old boy, yet carrying the aura of a seasoned king, resolute, fearless, and born to lead. The will of an afflicted king. Baldwin had lost sensation in part of his hand. He could no longer feel the reins. Every step of the horse, every jolt, was a stab of unbearable pain. But no amount of pain could stop a Baldwin who was strong, unyielding, and born to move forward, never back. He ordered every knight who could still fight to gather. Just over 500 men. Yes, only 500. It sounded like a joke, standing against Saladin's 26,000. And yet, Baldwin made the decision to strike first. It wasn't reckless. Every move was part of his strategy. Baldwin's stratagem. Baldwin understood Saladin's weaknesses perfectly. The Muslim army was on the move. Its formations stretched long across the plains. They had no time to form ranks, and they were not ready to fight. This was the only moment when a small army could create chaos, and the only chance they had to win. If they succeeded, Baldwin would carve his name into legend. But if they failed, none of them would survive, and the kingdom would fall into the hands of the Muslims. Baldwin chose Montgisard, a steep hillside where his knights could charge down with the force of a lightning strike. He placed the Templar Knights at the spearhead of his formation. Heavy European cavalry, warriors born to pierce through any line, whether it was made of steel or sheer will. Baldwin's plan was simple. Charge first, fast and unexpected. Break straight through the center. Crush Saladin before he even understood what was happening. The cross raised high on the hill of Montgisard. That afternoon, the wind swept through the white cloaks of the knights. The sunlight struck the golden cross, igniting the fighting spirit of Baldwin's entire army. Baldwin stood before his small army. His hand could no longer hold the holy cross, so the knights had to tie it to his arm with leather straps. The young king lifted the holy cross high, his voice echoing across the barren plain. "Knights, today we do not fight to survive. Today we fight so that Jerusalem may endure." The knights thundered down the hillside, and when Baldwin cried out, "For Jerusalem, forward!" their small army, fueled by pure devotion and stripped of all fear, became a storm of steel. The impossible charge. 500 knights plunged down the hillside, fast, fierce, like a white lightning bolt tearing through the desert. They struck at the weakest point, the very center of Saladin's army, caught in motion. No formation, no preparation, no time to react. The first impact roared like thunder. Horses and riders were thrown off balance, shields splintered, dust exploded into the air. A Muslim historian wrote, "The Franks struck us like lightning from the sky." And at that very moment, the chaos began. Baldwin, the man in the eye of the storm. Unlike many European kings, Baldwin did not stand on a hill to watch. He rode straight into the heart of the battle, the Holy Cross strapped to his arm, his armor shining through the smoke and dust. The historian William of Tyre wrote, "In the smoke and fire of Montgisard, Baldwin was no longer a sick king. He fought as if guided by an invisible hand from above. He rallied each unit. He led his men through every weakness in the enemy lines. He reignited the spirit of knights who were on the verge of collapsing. A man who could barely feel his own hand was still commanding the battlefield with an iron will." Saladin collapses. Saladin's front line collapsed. The right flank fell into chaos. The left flank could no longer respond. And in just a few minutes, his mighty army had turned into a disordered crowd. Saladin found himself surrounded by chaos. Horses panicked. Soldiers fled in every direction. Smoke and sand swallowed the sky. Saladin escaped death only because his royal guards sacrificed themselves to clear a path. He abandoned his tents, his equipment, and rode through the night, fleeing all the way back to Egypt. 26,000 soldiers, shattered by the strike of 500 knights and the unbreakable will of a king afflicted by disease. It was, truly, a miracle beyond imagination. Baldwin, the king who never bowed. Montgisard was more than a military victory. It was a reminder to the world that strength is not found only in muscle. Power does not belong only to the many, and destiny can never defeat a heart that refuses to break. Baldwin IV did not live long, but he lived like a blazing flame that could never be extinguished. A king afflicted by illness, yet stronger than 10,000 enemies. And Montgisard will forever be remembered as the day when the one who seemed the weakest achieved one of the most extraordinary victories in history.